All right, guys. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Help with Natalie Cuomo. I'm here with comedian Lucas Zelnick.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
So you have dated some witches?
Just kidding. Immediately taking what I said off mic and just throwing me into the fire. So just now when I told you in confidence that it wasn't recording, No, I'm
sorry.
No. I have dated. Well, I don't know if they would self-define that way.
I'm sorry.
I do like the dark arts, though. I really am.
No, okay, this is why I brought it up. This is the only reason I brought it up. And I wanted to say it on the podcast. Because, I think people think that tarot cards are, to read the future. But they're not. For me, they're, more of, self-reflection.
They bring up questions that you haven't asked yourself that you should?
Yeah, you're just oh, okay, this is, a way for me to look inward.
Okay. Because they say, something bad's happening, and you're like, what's bad?
Yeah. I guess they're like, oh, you're maybe focusing too much on this. And you're like, oh, am I?
But don't they say very general things? I guess we'll find out.
We'll find out.
Okay.
We'll
I don't want to.
Oh my God, I'm sorry for throwing you in the fire.
No.
Like
Please,
a witch.
Throw me in the fire. Yeah, much like a witch would, or much like we did to witches back in the 1690s.
Exactly.
Can't ever forget. So.
Speaking of fire, I was watching your Don't Tell set.
Oh. I appreciate it.
My
thank you. It was
here.
flames. I appreciate that.
I loved it. It was great.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much.
So, okay, you talk about toxic masculinity.
I do.
Toxic femininity. So I really thought that was interesting because what do you think toxic femininity is?
Toxic femininity? Wait, do I talk about that or do I just talk about getting dumped by a girl?
I feel like you talk a little bit about toxic femininity at the end, and I felt like...
Oh, yeah. You're right, I do.
I like that.
That was
good.
Yeah. I guess I do, because women are...
The women pretend to like each other a little bit.
A little bit, and then sort of cut each other down.
I feel like you think I'm about to hate on what you're saying, but I'm agree.
No. I didn't think you were, but I was just trying to remember which part. I was like, what was the most misogynistic thing I said?
No, it wasn't misogynistic.
No. Yes. I mean, I do think there's a. By the way, both people, men.
Yeah.
The whole pick me thing. I feel like everyone now that's trying to get laid.
Yeah.
Plays devil's advocate against their gender.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Guys, when we're trying to get laid, go to the all men are trash refrain. And
right.
Oh my God, it's so scary. Not me, but it's must be really, it's really scary to date a guy. Not me though, I'm the safe one.
Yeah.
And I feel like women do the kind of oh my God, women are so annoying and clingy, but I'm a very independent, relaxed.
Definitely.
You're not going to get that vibe with me. But then they're doing it at the expense of other women.
I had the most interesting experience where I did this podcast and the whole thing was essentially shitting on men. It was 5 women were all shitting on men for an hour and a half, shitting on men in the industry. And then afterwards we're in the bathroom and this girl goes, honestly, the worst people in this industry have been women to me, but whatever, we're talking about guys. I was like...
Yeah, I don't think anyone really means what they say in this industry one way or the other.
Yeah.
I think there are things to I mean, there are obviously horrible guys and horrible women.
Yeah, people are
bad
in entertainment.
Yeah, and especially comedy.
Yeah.
You know why I think comedy is so terrible is because in no place in entertainment other than comedy can you be ugly. And if you can be ugly and use fame to get laid, you're really using it for its worst.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if you're an actor, you're also pursuing fame, but you're not really pursuing it to get laid because presumably you're hot already, unless you're a character actor.
That's true.
But
then you're charismatic.
That's true. Then you're something very particular, Paul Giamatti.
Yeah.
You're something specific. But I think in comedy, the worst people I know are the people that couldn't get laid before they were successful, got successful, and now think they can get laid.
And it got to their heads in some obscene way.
Yes.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
But I guess women don't think about that as much because women don't need to use fame to get laid.
I guess. It depends. Yeah, I feel because guys can be pretty desperate sometimes.
I think that's right. I mean, I got laid before comedy.
Yeah.
So I never felt that I could use followers to.
Right.
I mean, it helps.
No, same. I feel like comedy didn't necessarily change me my romantic life in any way.
I feel like for women, sometimes it makes it worse because instead of dating like normal guys out in the wild, they date male comics, which is presumably. I know you're engaged to Dan, and
Dan
so
is like Dan's an exception. I feel like he's like a really great guy, but I've dated some pretty bad male comics. So what do you think is the best advice you ever received?
Ooh, let's see. Should I do entertainment related or entertainment unrelated or both, or
maybe both?
Okay, entertainment related. The piece of advice I received when starting comedy was do not do it under any circumstances unless you can't picture yourself doing anything else. That was very helpful because I was happy at a time. There was a time in my life where I was happy, believe it or not. I was, and I worked in like corporate. Yeah. And I had like a girlfriend, and I lived with my roommates, and we all had girlfriends. So it was like 8 of us. It was like 4 guys, 4 girls, and we all would just like smoke a ton of weed. And we had 9-to-5 jobs, and we made like good enough money to live in a nice place, very stable, kind of like a reverse. It was kind of like doing my 30s and my early 20s. This was my early 20s, and it was so chill.
What happened? What happened to you?
Sad but ambitious, which I don't think is much better. But I will say I got to a point where I couldn't picture, where I'd been doing comedy and I couldn't picture doing anything else. But it took a while, and I was glad I had those years. A lot of comics start like really young, right? You know, I don't know. When did you start?
I started when I was 23.
Okay, that's around when I started.
Yeah,
which is like at least you have a little time to live. No, not you.
No, definitely.
I had like a job for a couple years. You know?
I did too. I worked at a coffee shop though, so it wasn't like glamorous in any respect.
Yeah.
When did you get like the comedy bug?
It was when I started this club, Sesh Comedy, with my friend Jamie Wolf, who I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
That was like the first time. We were really bad, but that was the first time we were able to perform on the schedule of a professional. So that was like the first time where I was like, okay, if I do this several spots a night, every night of the week, unstopping for months at a time, like, am I miserable or am I happy? And I was doing it, and I was like, I can do this. Like, I can like literally like be happy and perform a ton. Yeah. So that was when I kind of realized like, okay, I'm down to do this as a profession. Before that, I was probably doing mics every night for 6 to 12 months before that. Yeah. Like in that range. And I was like fine with that. But open mics are different because you can't really, it wasn't until I was doing like shows every night where I was like, oh, I'm enjoying this, you know. I had a lot of stage fright, so I couldn't tell if it was going to be like too taxing. But then I talked to someone because I also had a corporate job, and it was like a good job, and I got an MBA, which like, so I had like options. Yeah. Like I had like a good MBA. Like I could have been like every time I make like dog shit money doing comedy, I call it like the hedge fund test, where I'm like, is this still better than making like $1 million a year at a hedge fund? And then as long as that answer is yes, I'm like, all right, fuck it. Like let's do comedy. Had other options. I talked to someone who had also gotten an MBA who was a writer at SNL.
Oh, okay.
And she had told me, I don't know what she's doing now. I'm sure she killed herself, but she gave me the best advice. She said, don't do anything. Don't do comedy unless you can't do anything else. And that was when I decided to fully move off because I was happy enough. But
yeah, that's really cool. It's interesting because like when I started, I feel like the advice that like I felt, or what really was important for me, was producing my own shows. Like giving yourself stage time, I feel like is the most important thing when you start comedy. And because it is, like that's the one thing that makes you a good comic is getting on stage. There's no other advice. Like, don't you feel like after shows, there's always like some guy that's like, hey, like how do you have advice for a new stand-up? You're like, yeah, just get on stage.
Do it. Yeah, literally.
There's no other advice.
No.
Like they want you to hand them some like key or some formula, and it's like you just have to do it.
Yeah, and 100%, and also like the number of years thing has nothing to do with, because people are like, how long have you been doing it? And it's like, well, how long have you been doing it? Quality stage time, full crowds every night. Right. That is what should count. The problem is like a lot of the people that are like, you need, you know, to be doing it 5 years to be X place. It's like, well, they spent 3 of those years at mics getting bad quality stage time, getting no feedback, hating themselves, and then 2 years actually doing like shows all the time. Yeah. So what starting that club did for us, even though like at the time no one really respected us because they just thought we were like the bookers and the performers, which we were, but we got on stage every single night, and I got so much better in like 3 months than I would have gotten in 2 or 3 years had I not opened a comedy club that was doing 14 shows a week when we did it.
That's awesome.
So it was very, that I guess that was a good. I mean, again, I don't like to be seen that way now because I think of myself as like a comic, and we sold that business, so we're not.
Oh, really? That's cool. If you
Yeah.
could like go back in time and give yourself advice when like you opened Sesh, what would the advice you gave yourself? Because I'm sure you learned so many things when you're opening a club for the first time.
Yeah. Oh man. But honestly, how naive we were.
Yeah.
Like if I could go back in time with everything I know now, I would never have done it.
Really?
Yeah, because not like I wouldn't have liked to do it. I mean, like I would have ruled it out as a possibility.
Huh.
Because it was like we were drawing 300 people a weekend, and neither of us had any following of any kind.
Right.
So now, like everything I do, it's like, okay, if I think I'm going to sell this many seats, how many people do I have on the mailing list, and how many people do I have this? But we were just so lucky. Like the people, our landlords are amazing people and probably criminals, and so they like were very chill, like no noise complaints. There was like all these like very lucky random things, like, okay, this is a random thing when we started this club, but like we used to give out tin cans of soda to everyone because we had like a drink sponsor. Okay. And they helped pay our rent if we would give out their soda. So we gave out tin cans, and then it turns out our landlords were like can collectors. So we were like this symbiotic relationship where we like produced cans and they collected cans, and they like fucking loved us needlessly.
I didn't know that. Wow, they were can collectors?
Yeah, like the people in Chinatown who they were those.
I didn't know that they would have two jobs like that were so different in income. How much did they make with the can collecting?
Who knows? I think those people know something we don't, because they're oftentimes like,
those people, I always try to do the math, and it's like not very much.
No, I know. It seems like it wouldn't be much. Maybe it's a hobby. That's hard to imagine.
That they were can collectors.
Yeah, so they collected cans. So that was like another thing. But it was that vaccine summer where like everyone just wanted to do things. Right. And like retail space was still cheap because of COVID. So it's like all these things happened. Like I'm 28 now. Like if I knew everything I know now about business and comedy, I'd be like, in no world would that ever work. Right. So it was like a confluence of factors. So I almost think being naive and getting everything wrong was like exactly. But we had so many issues. Like there was like a severe fly problem. Oh. Like we put out fly paper overnight, and in the morning you couldn't see the paper. It was that covered with flies. Oh my and we God. Had it all over the room. So I'm talking like horror movie, person is possessed by the devil and opens their mouth level of flies. Like that level of flies. And I don't know how we got like really into becoming like fly Hitler, like creating like a fly genocide.
Oh my God.
I'm Jewish. Are you Jewish?
My mom's Jewish.
Okay, so yeah, technically.
Yeah. Everyone's like, you're not Jewish. I'm like, my mom's Jewish.
If your mom's Jewish, you are, but but saying it makes you sound not Jewish.
I know. I mean, I didn't have a bat mitzvah, but like we do Passover and Hanukkah and stuff.
You do that?
Yeah.
Then you're Jewish.
Thank you.
You should just own that.
I know.
Don't even call it into question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But I also celebrate Christmas. So
that's okay.
Yeah.
Everyone celebrates Christmas. It's so much fun. I'm fully Jewish. I've celebrated Christmas.
Right?
My family doesn't, because I'm, actually Jewish, unlike you, but but like no, but yeah, you're a Jew.
Yeah, I feel like it's the tattoos or something that makes people.
I have tattoos.
Yeah, but they're very little.
You're like,
I like the detail on them.
Tattoos. Well, they're gonna fade right into blobs eventually.
No, I mean I don't think so.
No.
No, they look like very fine line.
Yeah, but I thought fine line tattoos blob out after like 10 years or something.
Maybe we'll have to see.
Yeah, you don't have any that are like really faded.
I actually some of them I see over time, like they've really like the ink has spread out a lot, but I'm like whatever.
But you still like pretty much everything you have?
I still like them. I definitely understand why you should do your legs first and then your arms, because like your arms are like, I just want to be covered. Yeah. And so then you get random shit, and then all my nicer stuff's on my legs because I did my arms first.
Oh, because over time you develop a taste.
Yeah.
A sensibility, really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Much more mature now.
I get that.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we tried to create a fly genocide at Sesh.
Oh my God.
but yeah, it was like everything weirdly went right.
Do you ever go back there?
Yeah, well, when I'm not on the road, the guy that owns it, when we sold it to him, the deal was like we could pretty much come back whenever we want. So
like, we made this.
Yeah, so we can sort of drop in, which is amazing.
That's cool.
That's the other thing is like the value it has to me now, even as a room where I can work things out without a booker in there, is like immense.
So you and Jamie would like co-headline on the road.
Last year.
Now you're
just doing it
yourself. That's kind of like Dan and I, we co-headline, and then like after we get married we're gonna like headline individually. What was it like transitioning from co-headlining to going on your own?
I think like good and bad. Well, before you guys were together, did you headline solo?
Yeah, I did solo before.
So you've experienced kind of the reverse, but then you'll go back to doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because I think what I like better, I like that there's one boss on the road, which is different than a couple. But with Jamie, it's like Jamie's very particular. Like he needs breakfast in the morning. I usually skip breakfast.
Yeah.
He like needs to like stretch and stuff. He has like weird sleep things. He's like can be kind of crazy in his sleep.
Yeah.
I'm like a reasonable. I know he's like, I'm also annoying in my own ways. But
everyone's
like
particular.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think it was nice to be able to just be like, oh, like this is a big thing, was like he's very chill about sets. So he'll show up 2 minutes before he has to go on. I like to be at the club and
like
get the lay of the land.
Yeah,
see the room, like figure out where we're doing merch, like figure out, like get my food order in, So
Same.
That was like kind of a difference. So that was like the downside of being with someone else, is that you're constantly sort of making 50-50 compromise. Like we'd get to the club like 30 minutes early, and but then it was like also great because we're best friends and we got to like be,
that's the thing. You're
alone.
Like, you're gonna be all alone on the road.
I know. Well, I can bring a feature.
It's not the same as your best friend.
Yeah, I know. It's not always the same. And a lot of times I don't bring a feature because
then you have to pay for their travel, their hotel. It's like,
it's a whole thing.
Is it worth it that much? And then it's easier for the club if you just let them book someone.
Yeah, it's worth it when it's worth it. But if then, and it's always like some of my best friends. So it's always like close friends. But when any of my friends act like an asshole at any point. Yeah. Because we're friends and like we're equals. But in this situation, I'm like, but we're not equals here. Like you don't get to be an asshole when like when you're working for me and I'm paying your food and your travel and your hotel. Right. I'm the boss.
Right.
And so
like, it's a little different now.
Yeah. So that's, and then if I feature for them, vice versa, you know what I mean? Right. But like, I think that's the only thing that, doesn't make bringing a feature worth it. Is like if your friend is a pain in the ass and then you're like, well, fucking
damn it.
I just brought you for company.
I know. I've totally had that before. Like when I was just touring by myself and I would bring people and it just made me think of them a little differently. And I was like,
Yeah. And you're like, fuck, I was trying to do you a favor. And now like we're leaving and you sort of resent me for getting annoyed with
friendship
you.
Weird. Yeah, definitely.
I know comedy friendships are so weird.
I know. It's almost better to just not work with each other. And
I know.
But are you from New York City?
Yeah.
Did you grow up here? Mm-hmm. I did too. Where did you go to high school?
Fieldston.
Oh,
where'd you go?
I went to Bard High School.
Oh, okay.
In Queens.
Okay.
The one in Queens. There's two.
Got it. Yeah. Fieldston's in Riverdale.
Oh, really?
It's like one of the hill schools, like Riverdale, Fieldston, Horace Mann.
Oh, Riverdale. Yeah. Okay. I knew one girl from sorry, I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. There was one girl from my high school that lived in Riverdale. And then like one guy my friend was friends with that lived in Riverdale, so I went a few times.
Where'd you grow up in the city?
Astoria and Bayside.
Okay, nice.
Like Queens.
Okay, got it.
Did you like growing up in New York?
Yeah, but I lived such a charmed existence.
Really?
Yeah. I grew up so rich. It was really nice.
So you liked it?
Loved it.
Like, would you raise kids in New York?
Yeah, with the money I'm gonna inherit, yeah. Yeah.
Did you feel like, was there like...
My kids are going to live in a plane in New York City.
Oh my God. Did you feel like there were like a lot of drugs or like no?
I felt like the kids that went to high school in New York City did coke early. Yeah. I didn't think there was like a lot of drugs. I didn't see too much like heroin.
No,
or
heroin,
meth.
but more like coke, ecstasy, shrooms.
I noticed a lot of things happening that like most people do in the full course of time happening at a very young age.
Right.
Like drinking felt like it started really early. Yeah. Independence felt like it started really early.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like I realized I think at probably 10 or 11 that as long as I had a credit card which I did. This is why I'm saying it's not a relatable. It's like a charmed existence. But as long as I had my parents' credit card and I knew my address, I could go anywhere and get home in a taxi.
That is so fun.
And so I was just like kind of felt free.
My God. Wow. That's really fun.
How was your New York City existence?
Oh, it was just most of my New York City I feel like I was so bummed that I always lived so far from everything.
Right.
You know, because like I had to take the bus and basically the whole 7 train line to get to school. And it was just really like annoying.
Right. So it felt like you were commuting all the time.
I was literally, I took the Q28 and the 7 train to high school like every day. Or if I was at my mom's, I would take the R train. And it was just.
Were your friends neighbors or not?
Well, the school that I went to was not like no one was zoned for it. So everyone, like one person lived in Elmhurst, one Jackson Heights, one Flushing, one Astoria. So it was just like all random.
So what was the social scene like? House parties?
The park.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. It was like it was like the park, maybe some houses or like this guy had like his dad's like wood shop in Greenpoint.
Okay, that's cool.
That was fun.
Yeah, that's cool. That's different. Because ours was like the corner on the Upper East Side.
Okay.
Like you just see, and I still see this, just like swarms of little rich kids on a corner. Like they all tried to get into like one bar, but their fake IDs got taken. Yeah.
My really good friend went to Bronx Science and I dated her friend when we were there and he lived on the Upper West Side. So there was like that cool roof and I was always like, oh, the Upper West Side's so cool.
The roof. Yeah, my friend had a roof.
Yeah.
It would also be like a lot of times you would just be like in the house of like just like the CEO of a major company.
I can't relate here. Relate here.
It would just be like, oh, like their dad's upstairs and their dad's like the head of like some Illuminati-esque
That's crazy.
shit. But then we're all downstairs like drinking their vodka and pretending we're not drunk.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I have jokes about it, but it's like sucked because I was such a little asshole.
Yeah.
And then you grow up and you're like, oh fuck, these people like run the world.
Oh my God.
Like all these people, I was like being an asshole and like trashing their house and I'm like, oh no, you're like.
But you're a kid.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Do you feel like what did you want to be when you were a little kid?
I assumed I would be the CEO of a major public company.
Major public company? Yeah. I mean, hey.
I didn't even like just as a white man and my dad was the CEO, I just thought that's what we became. Oh my God.
This is like Succession.
Yeah, like you know how like
this is so fun.
You know how like underrepresented people are like representation's like so important for being able to see like, oh, like we have a black vice president, like that makes me realize that like a black woman could be the vice president.
Yeah.
I just like I needed more representation of like poor whites so that I could know that there were other things to be other than like a very rich white CEO. I was I could be like the CEO of a bank or maybe the CEO of a media company or I could be like the CEO of a food company, but I just thought I would be like a CEO.
What's like the shittiest job you've had?
I was an assistant at SNL's production company.
That's cool.
So not that shitty.
Yeah, but yeah.
I would say I haven't had many like shitty experiences. I wish I had.
Right.
I just taped with Comedy Central and they asked for like a fun fact.
Uh-huh.
And I was thinking the fun fact I went with was I tried to get an assistant job at Comedy Central in comedy and I didn't get the job. But for a very brief time, my dad was the chairman of CBS, which now owns Viacom. It's called Paramount, but it owns Comedy Central. And I was thinking how funny it would be on the featuring taping if they're like, what's a fun fact? And I was like, my daddy was the chairman of your company. Just like full blown nepotism, just like completely trotting it out.
Did you say it? No,
I didn't say it. I was a little nervous to piss them off because it wasn't. I didn't get it through nepotism. I mean, I guess who knows, but I don't think I got it through nepotism. Stuff, yeah. Like I didn't get Comedy Central until my rep got it for me. Right. So that's its own type of nepotism. But why'd I get the rep? You know, you could go back all the way.
I mean, do you feel like you struggle with any type of like imposter syndrome or?
Yeah, I mean, I did. The biggest thing I struggled with though is, I mean, comedy is not a meritocracy, but it is a democracy to a certain extent. Right. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not about who's the best, but you can't you can't force your way to the top because of one important
Right.
person.
Everyone has to be like, we like you.
Yeah. Like comics have to get behind you eventually, but more
Right.
than comics, you need audiences. And audiences you can't buy by having a rich daddy. Trust me, I've tried. But, so like, I think at the beginning, the reason why I had insecurity was I was insecure because I was at Stanford getting my MBA, and we had just started sesh. It was my second year, so I was close to graduating, and I had started going like viral on TikTok with crowd work clips. And this was back when like not everyone was doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it was like
the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like kind of it was like feast for a lot of people. Like there was a lot of clips were getting a lot of views. Like stand-up clip format stand-up was getting introduced to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I was sort of going viral, but like I didn't really know what that meant because I was in Palo Alto, California. So I never had any experiences from it. And then over the course of that year, I got like maybe 100,000 on TikTok, which is like not crazy, but it would have been
like
a lot of views, and I had a lot of people on the mailing list. I probably had like almost 10,000 people on my mailing list because it had been on there from the beginning. So it was like every view drove to it. So when I got home, I had the ability to, you know, draw audiences. Like I remember we listed our first New York show, and it sold out in like an hour.
Whoa.
And it was Jamie and me, and we were both kind of popping off online. And then we listed a second one, and it sold out that day.
Nice.
And then we listed a third one, and it sold out the next day. And we were like, oh shit, like, and we looked at like the money that was coming in from that, and we are like, oh, we can now do this professionally. But like I had never, unlike the last class of comics where you toil in obscurity for 10 years and you've deserved it for so long, and finally you get to headline because you deserve it and you're good enough. I had the opposite, where like I had no ability to headline yet, but I had an audience that was willing to come see me do it and pay me to do it. And I was like, fuck, I better get it. So the first tour was really rough.
Okay.
Of just like not having the experience, not really having the time, doing much longer sets, and just like trial by fire.
Yeah.
Like learning the do's and don'ts of longer sets, which are very different. You know, like I had started in small New York rooms. I was very used to like addressing things and riffing and doing crowd work. And then you're in like a 300 seat club. And if you address things for, you know, an hour, you annoy people. If you're like, you didn't like that, you did like that, this guy looks gay, you know, like if you just keep doing that on repeat for a very long time, it gets annoying.
I know, it becomes a skill to not address things.
Totally. So like, and
there's
just
like someone stirring their drink really loudly, and you're just like, I don't want to acknowledge the drink.
Totally. And then you do, and then you realize like no one else was thinking that except for you.
It just distracts. It like puts a stop to all of the laughing. You're like, all the momentum you're creating.
And then you riff on how you broke the momentum, and that kills it even further because people are like, yeah, you did. So like I learned all these lessons. Right. So that first year was rough. I was having like panic attacks on stage, which was really rough.
Really?
Yeah. I just didn't like feel like I was there, and I got so much better in that year. So it was like this year, like now I'm starting to feel bored of the hour I'm doing on the road. So that's sort of its own thing. But even feeling bored is a luxury compared to like feeling terrified the whole time, which was like what the first tour was.
That's really cool though.
It's been great. Yeah. I suppose very lucky to have gotten through it and like come out on the other side with like a lot of those audiences sticking by me, because I know a lot of those shows were not that fun.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I feel like that's part of it. I think audiences like also enjoy growing with someone and watching someone grow, and especially like if you're a likable person, then they're like, yeah, we're here for you.
I hope I'm likable. Me 2 minutes ago. I have so much money I could live in a plane in New York City. Like, yeah, I guess I'm just like likable and humble.
Down to earth, whatever. That's cool. Yeah, I feel like you just learn so much from like doing those longer sets. I think that's where I've like found my like, or where I'm finding my voice as a comic is definitely through longer sets. Like I just feel like I like sink into like being who I am. Whereas like in the city, I really love those sets, but you know, 15 minutes it's great, but it's not enough time to like really be like you.
Yeah, you can't get into anything because like I have, you know, like a 15-minute chunk on my sister having special needs, for example. But it's like if I go do 15 of that, if I go do that chunk, I'm like the retarded sister guy, and they don't know anything else about me. So it's like, what was that? Right. You know what I mean? Versus like, I think in a longer set, you know, you give them the stuff they expect. You give them the sex stuff, and you give them the like general stuff and the observational stuff. And once you do that and they're sick of that, it makes sense to talk about you and like get personal and be yourself.
It's like different stylized stuff. You have to be so much quicker. How was the taping at Comedy Central?
Oh, it was pretty good. My first joke fucking ate dicks. And I was like, ooh. Like, this could be like the worst day of my life. And then after that, it was totally fine. Which was very bizarre. I was super happy I'd been on the road, because on the road, I feel like there's no everything that always kills in New York could not work, and vice versa.
Right.
Like, everything that like really is, I would say, some of the weakest stuff on my set sometimes just kills on the road. So it's like any given Sunday. So on the road, I've really developed like a capacity to kind of not show it if I'm shocked, you know, if a joke bombs or kills that I don't expect, like I just kind of go with it.
Right.
So that I've like developed that skill, especially this year and in bigger rooms and higher stakes situations.
Right.
So when I did this, I moved this joke into the opening position for the Comedy Central set because it was doing so well everywhere. And I open with it, and there's like, it's a joke about how like I become a toxic Republican in Europe.
Okay.
Like I have like I'm liberal, but like when I'm in France, I just feel like everyone's gay.
Right.
And like, so, but the first line is like this French guy comes up to me and says something like very Euro. And then I respond, and it's supposed to be like an intrusive thought in this context where I'm like, fuck out of here with that gay shit, bro.
Yeah.
And I said that, and it was a very gay room, audience wise.
Oh, damn.
And it was dead silence, like taken so the wrong way. And then one woman just goes,
oh no.
like audibly. And on that punchline, because you know how it goes, it's like if you were on a normal show,
right,
and that happened, you'd go, okay, I'm either gonna bomb this set, or like I'm gonna stop right away and address this, probably.
Yeah.
Like if it was that profound. But on Comedy Central, I'm like, no, I gotta
plow along.
Yeah. So I was just like, I just kept going, and then on the next joke, that whole joke bombed. And I was like, wow, this is gonna be a disaster. And then the next joke like crushed, and then after that, it was like decent. You know,
that's good.
Which is like, I find tapings are. Have you done?
I've
other than taped a special, but
that's the only taping I've done. Yeah.
I just find that they're very hit or like no one. I don't know many people that leave like thrilled.
Really?
About their sets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like one way or the other. It's just like because you want it to be the perfect set.
Do they give you like a pep talk before?
Don't Tell gave me a pep talk.
Really? Don't
Tell was like, we can always re-record. You can cut anything you don't want. We can pump laughs in later.
Wow.
Like they gave you the like chill the fuck out,
that's
have a
so
good time.
Cute and nice.
Yeah.
And sweet. That makes me love them.
Yeah. They're
that's
amazing.
Like that feels like a hug before a set.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was amazing. And for me, actually the same thing happened. And I was talking to Usama.
Yeah.
Who you obviously know him. I don't know if you've had him on, but like he's a funny if you
check him out in season 2.
Yeah. But he said he'll go into a taping without any sense of what joke he's gonna do first.
What?
Because he's like I kept bombing. My first joke kept bombing because I kept showing up with this tight energy to like get right into it. Now he's like, I figure it out up there, which I don't think I have enough experience yet to do that.
Yeah.
But same thing on my Don't Tell taping. This time everyone was bombing.
Right.
The crowd was just bad.
Yeah.
So I knew when I went up, I was like, this is going to be rough. And that was better than the Comedy Central taping where the crowd was decent. They weren't great, but they were decent. So I was like, there's no reason why my first joke should bomb. And that's obviously, the more surprising it is, the more it sucks, obviously.
Yeah.
But for the Don't Tell taping, I was like expecting my first joke to bomb, and it did. And then I kind of got them to as best as they had been for anyone else. And then Don't Tell let me do the late show just to retape my first joke.
That's cool.
So I did the late show. I got a good tape of my first joke.
I was going to say, it didn't seem like that.
Yeah, and then we pumped a fuck ton of laughter in there. We did pump some for sure.
Damn.
And Comedy Central, I don't know what the process is yet. There was not really much of a pep talk up top.
Yeah.
Or any.
Really?
but yeah, it was just sort of a showcase. There was definitely, it was, but we'll see how it comes together. Cool. I don't want to talk any shit. I mean, I taped with them and my set's not out yet. So thank you guys again for the, for the opportunity.
I'm still waiting for my opportunity. I hope it comes soon.
Yep. Please give Natalie a featuring set.
Thank you. That's really cool. Yeah. I'm going to do the cutting room. I've never been there.
Oh, you're going to headline it?
Yeah.
Okay, fun.
Yeah.
Do you have but you have a regular show in New York, or you don't anymore?
Yeah, I do. I have like a show at the Stand, but it's like a showcase show.
Got it.
So.
And do you use your draw to get people out there?
I guess I've had the show for like maybe 2 years.
Okay.
So I feel like, I mean, like I'll put it in my stories and stuff, but I don't like hardcore promote it because I feel like it has a little bit of its own audience, like its own thing going.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like I really pump when I'm like headlining in the city. But I also post like whenever I'm in New York anyway.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cutting. I mean, it's a cool spot for sure. It's a weird.
Really?
I mean, it's just it's a rock room, you know, so it feels that way. But it's cool.
Yeah.
I feel like for your vibe, it's cool.
I'm excited to see it.
You have kind of like a rock vibe.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I like a rock vibe.
Yeah, that was meant as a compliment.
Thank you.
It'd be weird if I meant it as like a backhanded.
Like a rock vibe.
Yeah, you're not a comic.
And so do you have pre-show rituals other than like getting to the venue earlier?
I scroll on Instagram, but that's like an anxiety thing.
Yes.
I'm like an anxiety scroller.
I feel like I shouldn't do that before show. Like, I really appreciate you admitting that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like no one says that. I've been asking that lately. I feel like people really just, they're like, you know, but I anxiously scroll social media and I'm like, that's the worst thing I could do. What if I saw, like one time I was scrolling before a set and I saw like I saw the article that Salman Rushdie was attacked. And I was like so upset. I really love him and like my dad loves him. I was like,
did he die?
I don't.
It's crazy for you to not know that after saying
I don't think he died.
No, I think he's fine, right?
I don't think he's dead.
Okay.
I'm really going to check really quickly if he's
dead. You're like, he's my hero. Is he dead? I couldn't tell you whether he's alive or dead.
No, he's not
he's
dead.
Fine.
There's no way he's dead.
But he can't talk anymore or something? Something bad happened to him.
He lost sight in his eye.
Okay, that's pretty bad.
He's not dead. No, he was just like doing a reading in New York.
Yeah, and someone stabbed his ass.
No, and I was just like, they stabbed him in his eyes, his chest. And I was just like, saw that right before I had to go on the stage. And I was like, wait, now I have to just go on stage.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I don't know why I scroll social media because you could just randomly see something very jarring.
Totally. Yeah, I kind of like blind scroll it. Like I don't give it much. But yeah, I think that's an anxiety thing. I'm starting to get less anxious just because I'm headlining every weekend now. So I'm doing minimum 2 hours a weekend. That's if I were to just have a 2-show weekend, which is rare. Usually I'm doing 5 to 6. I'll do my weekends are 4-show weekends, Friday, Saturday, 2 each, and then I usually slap a one-nighter on one of side or both sides. So it'll be like 6 hours a weekend. But like this weekend, I'm going to Vegas for some reason and
that's fun.
Doing 2 shows.
Where are you doing in Vegas?
Wise Guys.
Oh, nice. That's like one of the only clubs I feel.
It's a good club, but it's just impossible to sell tickets in Vegas. Really? Yeah, because
there's so much going on.
There's like so much shit I'd rather be doing there. Weekends with Adele. You think I'd rather be doing jokes than seeing Adele? I would way rather see Adele.
There is a lot going on there.
So it's looking abysmal. And then thank you to Wise Guys for the opportunity, and I'm sorry that I won't ever be back.
Yeah, people don't realize how tough it is, and like to just some random cities where you're. What's your favorite city that you've toured?
I mean, I crush in the cities where there's similarly minded, rich, liberal, elite whites. So Chicago, DC.
Yeah. Boston,
I know, not quite liberal, but they're certainly white, which is good. Not good. It's bad to be white, but whites like me.
Right.
And it's good to be liked.
Right.
So take with that what you will.
It's your demo.
LA, Denver.
Denver's fun.
Denver's a lot of fun. I like the middle of the country, Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Where people don't think too strongly about things. Yeah.
Do you have like a least favorite city you've been to?
Ooh, well, I was just in Omaha this weekend. I mean, it wasn't that shitty, but Albany. I mean, come on.
It's cold. Yeah.
I mean, it just sucks balls.
Yeah. I mean,
are you about to say something nice about Albany?
Is Albany the funny one with the nice? I like the funny bone there, but yeah, I feel like
the room
Albany
was weirdly okay.
But I feel like Albany is like there's
but it's cold. In that mall.
It is.
I mean, most funny bones are in malls, but it's dark.
I don't know. I feel like there is definitely some worse middle.
I mean, I have my tour in 24 is going to get pretty dark. I have Edmonton, Alberta.
Oh my God, are you doing House of Comedy?
No, I'm doing the comic strip.
Yeah, that's
oh my God. Yeah, it is. Is it?
Oh my God.
Well, you like that?
Well, no, it's just that I was just there, and
Yeah.
I don't know. So right now, they have a condo, but like someone's in there now. So, not a comic, just a person.
Yeah.
And so we were staying in the hotel in the mall. So we stayed in the mall for 5 days straight. It is the craziest mall ever.
Really?
Yes.
I'm going in February, so I don't think I'll leave the mall.
Yeah, they have like, oh my God, they have like a wave pool, a shooting range, like penguins, like sea lions, an
Does
ice
the club
skating
sell
rink.
tickets?
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Well, it was good. It was great. Like,
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it was a little rowdy. I had kind of one of the craziest. This is actually a crazy story. So, I have anger problems.
Okay, good.
So
always a good start to a story.
If people like, okay, I can get like really angry. So when I get heckled, I do this thing where like I'll just immediately off the bat be like, I love them, I love you. Like I'll just do that so I don't get angry.
Do you say that out loud or you say that in your head?
Both.
Okay.
Like I'll just put love towards it, right?
Okay.
So that this woman, she just like. So like as soon as I get on stage, I'm like going last on the show, and I start my set, and like literally 2 minutes on stage, I'm like, does anyone have any tattoos? There's a girl that like is dressed like a bride. I'm like, oh bride, do you have any tattoos? And this random girl goes, I got one for you. Stands up and walks up to the stage, and I'm just like. I'm like, all right, we love this. Okay.
Yeah.
We
Let's
love
lean
it.
in. Oh my God. What a great treat was somebody breaking the rules.
Yeah, the room's not being policed at all. So I'm like, all right. And she just pulls her shirt completely down. And she's like, look, pull down my shirt. I'm like, I'm not pulling down your shirt. Then a girl in the front row stands up, pulls her shirt even more down. And she's just like half topless. And I'm just like, all right, okay.
Man.
I was like, I just get on stage. This girl's like half, like, and I'm like, I just look at her tattoo and it says like Rage Against the Machine. I'm like, and it's like, really.
Oh, and it's like that worst, like the worst kind of heckle where it's like they think it's interesting. And it's not that interesting.
I was like, do you love that tattoo? And she goes, yep. And I'm like, great tattoo. Great. And then like the whole show, she's like, yapping away. But like I feel like I got Stockholm syndromed a little bit. Like I was like, all right, I love this. I convinced myself I love this audience member. I don't know how I did it, right?
Yeah.
So then at the end of the show, Dan and I go up on stage together, and like I'm like, I don't know why. I was like, let's bring her on stage, which was really, really, really bad. Okay. So she comes on stage and Dan makes a joke like, oh yeah, she says that she introduced that bride to her husband to be, and then Dan's like, oh, I bet you fucked him. And that like really pisses her off. She grabs the mic out of his hand and is just standing there like this, like angry, like
and she's probably drunk,
wasted, like this. And then Dan is like, I'm not doing this. He walks off stage. And then finally the club manager is like, excuse me, like you need to get off stage.
Yeah.
So then I was like, all right, guys, thank you so much. Everything's good here. Like, I'll be at the merch booth. Bye. I get off stage. The woman is just standing there like this, like tears, just like, going down her face. And I'm like, oh my God, it's okay. Like, you're okay. Like, you don't need to cry. Like, you're fine. Everything's fine. And she's like, I got asked to leave the stage. I'm like, no, the show is ending. You're okay. She's like,
you got welcomed back to the audience, if anything.
I
really.
I know. She's like, it was humiliating. I'm so embarrassed. I'm like, she's like, I thought I was doing something to help you. I was like, no, you're okay. She's just crying, right? Her friends like leave without her.
Oh boy.
I know, it's so bad. I'm like at the merch booth. I see her just like leaving, crying hysterically, and so I just walk over because I'm like too empathetic, and I'm like, hey, like it's okay, like you don't need to cry. Like I literally go like, don't carry this with you. I don't know. I was like, it's fine. Yeah. It's not a big deal. And she's just like crying. She goes, do you want to see a picture of my cat? I'm like, okay. She shows me her cat. I'm like, okay. And then she just goes, and I'm like, really, it's okay. And she just looks at me. She goes, what's your name?
That's so awesome.
And I was like, Natalie. And then she goes, what's your last name? And I was like, Cuomo. And she's like, I'm going to follow you on YouTube. I was like,
That's so funny. Like after all of the like the care that we put into not burning bridges with these people that we think are our fans, to get through like all of that bullshit, having like protected her and gone up to her and like changed your entire night and the audience's entire night to make sure that this does not become like an issue for her to like not even have a clue. Like you could have been anyone to her. Like you could have been like, fuck you, bitch, in the first second, get the fuck out. And she would have hated you, but also not known.
Yeah, she could have been like removed from the show in a second. She literally came up to the stage and took her shirt off. Like,
what happens if you get angry? Like, what would you do? Would you yell?
It would ruin my set. Like, this anger takes over me. Like, it's not that I would probably curse her out. I'd probably say she's like ugly, say like really mean things, and then like an anger would take over me that would make me not funny. Like the rest of my set,
have you done that before?
Yeah, like okay. I feel like someone like we were in like North Carolina or something. So as soon as I got on stage, someone said like, good luck following him. And it like made me so mad. I was like, you're an ugly fucking cunt. And like, then they started being like, and it was just like the rest of my set was just too angry. And I just couldn't. Yeah.
Like a kind of like a meltdown, if you will.
Yeah.
Because I'll have a good melt.
Yeah, it was just really embarrassing. My anger is so embarrassing. I can't like, so I like now I have to be like, I'm like, if someone did that, I'd be like, haha.
Yeah.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah. I feel like if I heard that, I try and just riff on like how unreasonable a thing that is to say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, really appreciate it. Like, great to have you on my side.
I haven't opened my mouth yet, but thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. Like that puts me in a great space.
I was like, we drove 12 hours to get here. Yeah. I was like so mad. Like we drove 12 hours to get to that show. And like as soon as I got on stage, I was like, really? That's what you're going to say?
I had like an earnest break on social media once, and it was like the last time I ever decided to read like comments on my shit, because I was in like a drought of like I forget when, but like I don't know, been putting out a lot of stuff, and it was like not really getting watched that much on social media, and I was sort of insecure that like I'd had kind of like a moment that passed maybe, and then you probably know how this goes, but it's like the less something gets watched, the more like I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I want to double down. I'm going to put out like more shocking things that aren't even like funny or good, but I'm like, this will get watched, like this was kind of an old way of thinking. These days, I'd rather just not post and give it a sec and like work on comedy. But at the time, it was like all I had. So I was like, this was back when I was at school. So I was like, I just have to like focus on growing this thing and whatever. So I put out this thing that like wasn't that funny. It was fine. Did get watched. And then someone commented like, this guy has gotten less funny every time I've seen him in like every video or some shit. Like something that like really harped on like my peak insecurity at that time.
Yeah.
And I was drunk, and I'm like a sad drunk. I'm like an emotional drunk. Like I'm like a drunk white woman. Like I'm not. I don't get angry. I just get like bummed easily, And I go to sleep. I'm like a sleepy, mopey drunk. I'm just like Eeyore when I'm drunk, basically. Like I'm no fun. And I was really drunk, and I saw that comment, and I wrote this like really long like paragraph response. But you can't like curse in the TikTok comments because it'll get filtered. So I was like, it really stinks when like people say stuff like this to me, and it makes me like not want to take risks on stage, and it's just like a total bummer. Like, and then I said this verbatim. I go, I work my butt off. Because I didn't want to say ass. So I was like, I work my butt off to put out like free content for you guys, only for this to be like how it's received. And then I like passed out. And when I woke up in the morning, there was like 500 responses from like probably 12 to 14-year-olds being like, you're so raw for this, king. Like, speak your truth, king. Like, thanks for your vulnerability, king. And I was like, this is so much more humiliating than just having said nothing. Like, I was so embarrassed that I was like, because I got the validation that I suppose I had been hoping for in that moment, and I realized like how unfulfilling that was, and I was like, oh, it's just so embarrassing. Like, we already do such a humiliating job.
I know.
To add to it like that emotional vulnerability. Because people don't realize I think people do. Anyone listening, I suppose, does. But, like, we take it so seriously.
Yeah.
And people so don't respect it.
I know.
And the goal, I think, when you take it as seriously as we do, is to also be good enough at it so that that disconnect does not come across, so that it looks effortless and fun and light for us, which is exactly how it should feel for them.
Right.
But it's not fun and it's not light and it's not effortless for us. And when that comes across, it is so humiliating because people are like, I'm just a lady from Edmonton in a mall. I don't even know your name. And this is everything to you. And that is, we go and we're like, oh my God, it's so lame that you live in Edmonton. And they come and they're like, it's so lame that you do this.
Yeah, that you care.
Yeah, you fucking loser.
Oh my God.
So it is pretty embarrassing to do what we do. And I try these days to not have it come across how much I fucking care about it.
The comments really get to me. So I feel like sometimes I'll get really pig-piled in the comments. Like I'll just I'll post a video, wake up the next day, and there'll be like 100 comments being like, you're terrible, you're terrible. And I'm just like, I know that the more people see you, the more people are going to criticize you. Yeah. But sometimes it's like really takes a lot of journaling to.
Are you numb to it now or more numb than you were, I suppose?
Yeah. I mean, I do notice like my newer stuff gets more positive feedback than my older stuff. So if I like post an older clip, I know it'll get like, I know that like my tone of voice is like criticized a lot in my older stuff.
In what sense?
Like people always write that I sound like a Valley girl in my older like from like a year ago, and then I think my voice sounds like a little different now, and then people just pigpile on criticizing my voice, and so I am number to it, but it's still when it's like so many people. You start to internalize it a little bit and you're like, I need to take a break from looking at my phone for a few days.
Yeah, I get that. Trying to think like which one. I get a lot of like, because I've talked about growing up rich now in a way that's like known. Yeah. I get a lot of people just commenting like Nepo baby, which is funny to me because I'm like, but I told you.
Yeah, you're like.
I'm aware. Like, it's not like you like, they act like they're journalists about it. Like, oh, we like figured out that
like, no,
he's a Nepo baby. I'm like, you're commenting on a post that I posted about growing up rich. So I'm like, yeah, that's something I'm choosing to talk about. Yeah. Because I think it's like important to highlight. When I was starting, I got like much more hate. And then I felt like I think it also could be like a gender thing. Because I feel like female comics get fucking ripped on platforms like YouTube and Instagram particularly. I feel like TikTok can be a little nicer. Yeah. But every algorithm... there's always a way for a video to find the audience that hates it the most versus the audience
whenever
that
I see like someone post a screenshot of a mean comment, I literally am like, oh, so this is new for you. Welcome. Like if it's that new that you're posting a screenshot, bitch, you have no fucking idea.
Well, I feel like sometimes we're just like posting a screenshot because it's like the funniest.
Yeah, I guess. But I'm just like, I mean, it's crazy. Like sometimes like I feel very frustrated with how many mean comments I have to deal with. And I'm just like, it's crazy.
Well, it is interesting. It's such a thankless task to do this because no one's asking us to do it. Yeah. No one really appreciates it.
Yeah.
The only thing that makes it feel right is when you get the big paychecks, I feel.
Yeah, because
or the great
when you get like a good comment, you're like, yeah, I deserve a good comment. This was something I worked hard on. Yeah. And then when you get a mean comment, you're like, nah. Yeah. So it is tough, but you just gotta let it. All right, I feel like it's tarot time.
Okay. My piece of advice that was a non-stand-up related.
Yeah.
We can keep it very brief. Was just everything in moderation, including moderation.
Oh, wow.
That was one that I got from my high school ex-girlfriend's mother.
Oh.
And I feel like I've lived by it because I feel like I try and keep everything in moderation, and then every once in a while I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Like let's get really fucked up or live a little.
I like that. Damn. What do you feel like? What's your like biggest vice? Do you want to shuffle these?
Okay, that's a lot of pressure. I'm not like a good shuffler. Do you want me to do it like a?
Just like put some energy into it.
The like pliability of it. Oh, okay.
Think about like your life.
Wait, what's my biggest vice? Ooh, I don't have that many vices. I would say like every once in a while I will go to a music festival and do Molly.
That's fun.
Just like I had a big panic attack at a music festival, so I haven't really done that.
Because you get like recently. Stuck in the crowd.
Yeah, and like if you're feeling a little too fucked up and you're in the middle of a big crowd and you go down, there actually isn't any thing you can do about that.
Right.
Like, so you actually are in like an unsafe position, you know?
Yeah.
So
I feel that.
But other vices, weed after sets,
Yeah.
sex, kind of the normal ones.
Yeah. Nothing crazy.
Nothing too wild.
All right. Let's see. We're going to pull like a past, present, future deal here.
Okay.
This is your past. Well, thank God it's the past because
that is swords.
A little tough.
Swords are tough.
That's nice.
Present.
And wow, I don't know these cards that well. To be honest, we will be using the book. I pulled this one recently, but not recently enough to remember it. Okay, I have to briefly look, and then I'll know.
The book.
We'll briefly look. Okay.
I can cut this in post.
Okay, yeah.
Oh boy.
So I don't know.
This is my past.
Maybe in the past you felt like you were at rock bottom a little bit.
Okay.
But I mean, I guess in the past people feel like that. It's so funny. I thought I pulled this card. This actually used to be one of my favorite cards because this is what it says. It says, it's rock. It's like melodrama. It's like, it's like you've let others walk all over you while you play the victim. Is it possible you love backstabbing and drama too much to move forward without it? If not for the drama, what would you focus on? I like that card because sometimes I'm like, I think about it with my anxiety because I'm like, I feel like I almost like feel safe being anxious. Like I feel like my anxiety is almost like a safe place, and when I'm not anxious I'm like, is there something I should be anxious about?
Right.
But I don't know how this applies to you necessarily, but this is in your past somewhere.
I'm trying to think. I mean, I've definitely had drama in my past. Thinking of like, I don't have that much drama outside of my like love life ever, you know?
Yeah.
Some past drama in my love life, and I'm not too hung up on it right now, but I was. But it is a past. Okay.
The world, this is good. We got some major arcana currently happening. Some good stuff. Okay. It's wholeness, completion. Wow. This is a rare energy.
This is my present.
Achievement. It's being whole.
Wow.
Close your eyes and envision this radiating energy inside you of being whole. What does it feel like? Where is it located? What blocks you from feeling a sense of wholeness every day of your life? This is good. This is a good card. I feel like this is like a lot of success coming together. Like, you know, headlining on your own, taping a bunch of things, your career
comedy
like
feels
coming
good
up.
right now.
Yeah, I feel like your career is like...
It feels like it's going well.
You're touring like every weekend. I feel like that's good.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
That's good. And then Seven of Wands.
Okay.
I don't know.
Oh, all right.
I mean, yeah. All right. The future. That's, wow. Couldn't be better. Courage and inner strength.
Oh, wow.
Wow. A single wand stands up tall, ablaze with light. The others fall away in shadow. Such is the story of the Seven of Wands. You'll not find any strength or support from others, only yourself.
Oh, fuck.
That's comedy, though.
Yeah, that is comedy.
It's time to be truly courageous and stand up for your beliefs. You may feel overwhelmed with caution and fear, but your internal fire will guide the way.
Fuck.
I mean,
well, that's a lonely card, though, but so is comedy.
That is really...
Comedy's such a lonely existence. I guess in a way, you're very lucky that you and Dan have each other, because that must make it feel...
Yeah.
I guess it's sort of all-encompassing. It becomes your entire world, but that's probably really nice.
Yeah. I would say the hardest part is not talking about comedy all the time.
Yeah.
Because if, like... because it's my fault. I think I talk about it the most. But it is nice because you don't feel as, like, alone in it. But I would say, yeah. That's nice. So your inner strength is going to guide you. There was a little drama in your past.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder what that's about. But things are really...
There was drama. There's always drama. I feel like my career and my love life are like always at odds. Like when things are going really well in my love life, I'm bored of my career. And when things are going quietly or like not well in my love life, I'm like really invigorated with my career.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not that things are going poorly in my love life, but they're just not... There's nothing like crazy happening right now. You know what I mean?
I feel like, I don't know if I'm like projecting or I just like, I'm like doing the artist way right now. Have you done that?
I don't know.
It's like a book that I'm obsessed with it. It's like a 12-week book where you like journal and like you do
Oh, no, I haven't done this.
It's so fun. Highly recommend it.
Okay.
But basically in the first chapter, it's like all of these kind of maybe intrusive negative thoughts that like there is like kind of an idea that like you can't be an artist or like have successful creativity and create and have a happy relationship. And like I feel like it's like this weird embedded thing in our society, and that like you almost have to accept that like you can. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I totally know what you mean. I feel that way with like the commitment to comedy.
Yeah.
You know?
A lot of people don't understand it.
Yes. And how hard it is that like, because part of comedy seems to be, I feel like it's doing the hang too.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like being in the spaces,
talking to people,
meeting people, just being around a class of comedians a lot, being seen around them, getting to know them, honestly, like being liked by them, liking them, like that's a big part of it. And when you want to do your spot and go home to somebody, that changes how well you can do your job, given that part of our job is about like building relationships, to be honest.
Yeah, or when you feel like that pressure of like your phone in your pocket of, you know, there's a text being like, when are you coming home?
Yeah.
And like when that's the benefit.
And especially if you want to be home. Like if you know,
like,
that's probably what's nice about dating a comic. I mean, I would probably be terrified of it. I feel like comedy relationships are amazing and like last forever, because there are a bunch of successful examples. There's like Segura and Joe List,
like
right?
Bonnie and
like,
Rich,
yeah, like so many. And then of course there's like the fear that you know you hate each other and you run into them everywhere, and like they don't want you doing the shows they're on, or you don't want to put them on, that you're like blocked professionally.
Right.
It's the same thing with friendships. It's like, what if you lose someone you really care about because the thing that your friendship is based on is also your job, is also your money, is also a hierarchy. Like it's a weird, you know what I mean? So that's why it would scare me unless I was like certain.
I feel like that's my advice for comedy relationships, is like you just have to be 100%.
Yeah.
But it is nice to have someone that understands like all the elements of comedy. I think you can find that without them being, I mean, I don't know.
I definitely go out with people who don't have day jobs.
Yeah.
Because then at least
otherwise their schedule is completely.
Yeah, it's like really tough.
Yeah.
Or people that just work from home and have flexibility. You know? Anyone that can hang out during the day. Otherwise, it's like I won't see you till
at all
midnight.
Yeah.
Like the earliest.
Well, Lucas, thank you so much for doing the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Where can people find you?
Lucas Zelnick on Instagram and TikTok. My website's lucaszelnick.com. That has all my tour dates. That's the biggest thing you can do for me. Come to a show. I'll be in your city. I hate to say it, but wherever you live, I know what you're thinking. You're going, no, he's not coming to Springfield, Missouri. Yeah, I am. And I'm just as upset about that as you are. I'm very upset that I'm coming to Springfield, Missouri, where you live. I hate that you live there, and I hate that I have to be there for any period of time, but I am going, and you can find that at lucaszelnick.com.
Amazing. And thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure you subscribe. This is a brand new YouTube channel. Make sure you like, comment, all of those things. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll be here next week. Bye.